Welcome. Let's try something exceptional and rare. Romanée-Conti Grand Cru. Tomo Intera Romanée-Conti. Vintage 2021. Not really. Not quite yet, anyway. But let me tell you about it instead. So, illustrious history dates back to 13th century. Abbé de Saint-Vivant developed this vineyard. And when you go to the site in Von Romanée, you see that's walled. It's a walled vineyard, and it has been walled already 500 years ago. In 1760, it was renamed La Romanée. It was named La Romanée, and that's not really well documented. We don't really know exactly where this name came from. However, what happens in 1760, it has been acquired by Francois de Bourbon, Prince of Conti. And the name again, that's where the Conti, the second part of the name of the vineyard came from. We don't really know whether he renamed it or it was renamed by association. Either could be true. We don't have really the exact information. We don't know. Just a while ago, very particular man and very very stingy one. He kept all the wines for himself, and he used it to entertain his friends. Sadly, what did end up happening, then the French Revolution came and lasted 10 years, from 1789 to 1799. That vineyard was seized, and then eventually it was acquired in 1869 by Jean-Marie Duval-Blochet. And that's how it became the ownership, because that was a descendant of the Villaine family. And Godin de Villaine and Leroy family started to manage the estate since from 1942 onwards. And they really developed this estate extremely well. One element of it, they named the estate after the vineyard, which was already known. La Romanée as well, just sort of interesting information. That was the first time when village changed the name, because there used to be single barrel name villages: Vaughan, Chambol, Pouligny, Chassagne, Gevrey. And then 1826, Vaughan took the name of the vineyard Romanée and became Von Romanée. Chambol took the name of its most famous vineyard, Musigny, and became Chambol Musigny. Gevrey took the name of the Chambertin vineyard and became Gevrey Chambertin. So that's really, I mean, you think marketing is a new thing. Not really, that already existed centuries ago. Well, if you go to the side, you really see beautiful mid-slope vineyard, quite a large vineyard as well, 1.8 hectare vineyard. For purposes, for how small and fragmented Burgundy is, that's actually sizable vineyard, which produces between 4,000 to 7,000 bottles a year. I mean, we can see here, what is it, 2021, which was a relatively small vintage, 4,835 bottles. It's not really the small vineyard if you think in terms of the size. The vines is an old vineyard today. The vines have been completely replanted in the 1947, just after the war, Second World War, 1947 to 1948, the vineyards were replanted. So that's today, the vineyard is 76, 77 years old. Beautiful mid-slope vineyard, walled, as I mentioned. I mean, perfect exposition, gently elevated. So, you've got the drainage that is perfect. You've got the sort of mixture of limestone and clay in the perfect proportion. So this is really, really, I mean, they already knew back then back in 15th, 16th century, this is a special plot of land. So what does the Romanée-Conti combine? I think that this particular vineyard combined the three elements, which are extremely rare, and great wines have it. First one, ability to deliver depth of the aroma and flavor without heaviness. They do that extremely well. I'm unmistakably von Romanée Pinot Noir when you have it in a glass. It got that silkiness with depth of the flavor. There's no question. And all that done with 13.5 alcohol by volume. Second element, there is in all of those wines, all of the vineyards that you would, the Romanée-Conti, Latage, or Richebourg, you do have quite a very, very strong terroir identity in all of those wines. That's done over many, many, many years. You see, 1942, they started to develop that and really work at that a lot. So wines like Romanée-Conti would have that extremely strong capacity to showcase its place of birth. And third element is a capacity to age and improve. Vintage like that, 20, 30, 40 years, no problem. And that's a lighter structure, vintage 21, something like 22 or 15 or 16 or 09. Age capacity for those wines is 50, 60, 70 years, no problem. So that's those three elements. That's really, really strong in those wines. One other element as well is, I was talking about stylistic sort of elements. So Romanée-Conti is sort of vinified, treats all the wines quite similarly, meaning of it is that they all mature in 100% new oak, apart from Corton and some of the whites, and some of the Petit Mont and Duval Blanchet. Everything, all the Grand Cru goes to 100% new oak. Tronchet Forest by François Frère, and they are vinified with a large percentage of of the whole bunch. 30 to 70, 80%. 30% on the lighter vintages, 70, 80 on more structured, fine vintages. And, well, what does the Romanée-Conti taste like? I had this wine for the last over 2 decades, probably about 20 times. And there are 3 wines that stuck into my memory that I remember extremely vividly, yet the last one was about 5-6 years ago. Those were 78, 71, 78, 99. Those are the 3 that I remember the most. So, 78 was at it, and 71 was at the time mature. You've got that beautiful duality. Ripe, beautiful fruit, raspberries, red currant, red cherry, strawberries in balsam, bit of a citrus, beautiful florality from that, the whole bunch, this sort of seaweedy characteristic, dry flowers, bit of a rose even, fantastic. All that was offset by this sort of classic Pinot mature characteristics. You got a lot of the well-hanged venison. You had farmyard. You have the earthiness. They all intertwine with each other, and you have that really plushness that one have in the mid and back palate, and that was all beautifully highlighted by the mineral acidity, which gave these wines a lot of the depth and mineral freshness, which, that's the sort of, I would imagine, that's the sort of something that there is, but there is that sort of silkiness of texture that probably Romanée-Conti have more of than all the other wines of Romanée-Conti. Richebourg has it to the degree too, but I thought that might have even more. I did not try it. I'm not trying this once a month. I think to really know what Romanée-Conti is like, I think you would have to have opportunity to drink it. 4 or 5 times a year to really, and various vintages, so you really understand what these wines are. So, pricey wine, there's no two ways about it. There's really three ways to obtain the Romanée-Conti. One is direct allocation, which, I mean, if you're lucky to have relationship with the domain and you can get it, that will cost you about €2,000 a bottle, of one bottle. So that's quite a lot, as you can see. Well, the second way of doing it is the true international importer. So, for example, in US is Wilson Daniels, in the UK is Corne & Barrow. For each country there's one importer, and if you happen to have a location, well, that's great. And in UK they about £4,200 ex VAT. So on the table there will be over £5,000 a bottle. So you see that's even more. And then third way is buy it from secondary market, and that sort of the price comes up to 12 to 15,000 pounds a bottle. So that's that. Truly special wines, really worth. I mean, if you have opportunity to taste it, go for it. It's gonna be impactful, I'm sure. Let me know your thoughts, whether you had a chance to try, and what were your thoughts about it. All the best, and I will speak to you soon.